If you are somebody who has a Craftsman saw or a contractor saw with a motor hanging off the back and you want to figure out a way to contain the dust and to contain the mess and to even have possible dust collection, then you might want to keep watching. Okay, hey, what's up guys? Hey, so check this out. I made this is my Craftsman saw right here. This is the contractor saw that I got recently. So I fixed up this whole thing back here. You're seeing the ass end of it here. Today I thought I would grab the camera and give you a tour of exactly how all of this works here. So you'll see that I built a bridge here. This extension is 12 inches deep. Below the extension, I have that weird radius thing. Well, that's where the motor is. And the reason it's radius like that, it's round, is when I tilt the blade, it allows the motor to stay inside, but it's just enough clearance for it to make its turn to the angle. Below that square thing, that's a pull-out drawer. It pulls out from the front. That drawer captures almost all the dust, all the big chunky dust at least. The fine particles, I'm sure that they escape, but for the most part, this standalone unit, it captures probably, I would guess, 98%. This is just a guess, you know, but 98% of all the dust. I mean, I've done a lot of cutting on this thing, and I barely just get a little bit of fine dust here and there. So if I really wanted to, I very easily could hook up a dust collection to this unit here. The way that I would do that is back here on the bottom of this box, the pull-out drawer, I would just cut an insert for a vacuum, for example, or even a larger vacuum, maybe 1 or 2 horsepower. That I think would capture all the dust. It would create the suction through where the blade is and all the gaps and all the holes and just force all the dust out. So my design here is probably not the best design for an older motor. This motor is the original motor. It's not sealed. Today they make motors that are sealed, and so if you have a design like this or you want to make one like this, you know it's possible. If you don't have a sealed motor like myself, you'll run into problems. I've already kind of run into some problems. Now, the reason I say that is because enclosing the motor and all this, if you do a lot of cutting on it, there is no ventilation. It gets really hot inside there, or it could. So get this, I was doing a big job just a couple months back, wasn't that long ago, and I probably cut 1,000 board feet of wood. I just had the saw running for 30 minutes continuously, and I was just cut after cut after cut after cut. And the saw stopped, so I checked the circuits, everything was good. Okay, that's weird. And so I ended up I rolled the outfeed table out of the way, which I'm going to make another video to show you my outfeed table. But the outfeed table connects to here. It secures with these latches you see right here. That's how it secures. So I rolled the outfeed table out of the way, and this back panel is removable. I'm going to show you in a minute when I grab a camera. So I took it out, and I had access to the motor, and there was lots of dust in there. The whole motor was an inch of dust. First thing I noticed was the temperature change. Inside the box here, it was so hot, I thought I killed the motor. So after a couple hours, probably about 4 hours or so having it unplugged, I had to get another saw, and I finished up my cuts and stuff. Finally, it came back on. So there must have been something in there. I don't know why it stopped, probably something to save it, who knows. But that's why I know that there could be problems, you know, with no ventilation and all that stuff. But if I had a dust collection hooked up, especially a larger dust collection, like 1 or 2 horsepower, down in that motor, I think that that would create so much draft going through there. I don't think there would be a lot of dust building up. In addition to that, I think that would create the draft that I spoke of right now. That would create the cooling power I think that this needs. But keep in mind, I don't really think that this saw is the ultimate heavy-duty saw where it's built to run for hours on end. You know, I'm sure the saw could handle it. It's just the motor, you know. Especially being such an older motor. If I got another motor, like say a 1.5 horsepower Grizzly motor, I think that motor would be a kick butt motor for the saw. I'm gonna stop rambling, I'm gonna grab the camera. I'll take it apart, show you what I did. Like I said, the reason I'm posting this is because I think a lot of people would like, you know, I think a lot of people would like the idea of being able to close their motor in like this and the whole unit. And they could do, like for me for example, I could do a lot of cutting throughout the day and I will not have dust on the floor. No dust here, no dust there, and there is no dust collection on here as of yet. If I put the dust collection on here, I think that would be a bonus, you know? But not even having dust collection, I think it's great for what it is. So I'll grab the camera, give you the tour, and show you what I did. Cut into the stand itself, below the saw, is a big hole, so all the dust falls right down into this drawer. The drawer, you'll see that there's a very tight clearance here, about 1/8 between the stand itself and the drawer. So this is the rail, this is what keeps the drawer going straight in and out. Okay, so I got the drill. I'll put the camera closer and I'm gonna take this back part off and we'll take a look at what's inside here. I haven't opened this up in several months, and so we'll get a good glimpse, or you'll get a good glimpse of how it will look with no dust collection. One more screw right here at the top and this whole thing will come off. So this is the inside look. It doesn't look like it's too much dust. You can see that when I made this, we have about 3/4 of an inch clearance between the belt and the pulley from the side here. That's how I built this drawer. I made sure that all this would fit inside. Yeah, it's pretty tight clearance. Look at, there's a cobweb. Oh, there's actually spiders. There's a daddy long legs up in there. Here's the motor. You can see the dust. If you look down low, I have where the handle is. Now below that, there's an opening. There's probably about 6 or 8 inches below that where all that dust is. That's the inside part. I added that to help keep the dust away from this overflow bay here. So if we tilt over here, you'll see inside here, when I put this together, I put a lot of wood glue inside here. I just pretty much saturated it. You'll see way up here that this location is where I had to hog out the material, so when the motor tilts, I'll have room, otherwise it would hit right up there. So there's not a whole lot to it, I guess, really, if you really look closely. Another thing that I did, I have a piece of material back here. Now this piece of material was scribed to the side of the saw there. So there's 2 pieces that are scribed. This is scribed, and then this one over here got scribed to the side of the saw there. Now I have a couple slots for the cord to go through. You can see right down here at this top part, I hogged that out for the cord. So I think I have to be careful. I don't really remove this too often, but I do have to be careful when I slide this drawer in and out, not to hit that. So check this out. From back here, you'll see where I scribed that to the saw. 1/4 inch clearance down below. So behind that switch, you'll see the other piece of wood, millimeter, that I used and scribed it against on this side. I would say the hardest part. So instead of trying to tell you what I did, I'm just going to take you back and show you what I did. So I drew what I wanted on this board that I had to scribe to the table saw, and then I transferred it onto this piece of plywood. From there, I cut it out on the bandsaw, and the way I determined this radius here is I tilted the motor, and when the motor moved, I drew a line and transferred my clear space on the white millimeter on the back. So here I used some pocket screws and I attached it wherever I could around the saw, the bridge, and that back piece of millimeter. So when I attached those radius pieces to the top bridge, I had to be sure that everything was square and that the bottom was going to line up with the inside of that drawer. From there, I took a lot of little strips of beadboard. I cut them to 1-inch pieces. You can see the outside cover, the piece of millimeter that I have, it overhangs where the beadboard on the radius is going to go. So that way it's a clean finish when it's done. All these pieces here, the little beadboard pieces, I shot on dry. Once all the beadboard was attached, the radius in 1-inch pieces, I just used a whole lot of wood glue and I just saturated it. So now when I put the outside piece of millimeter back on, it's all gonna be perfect because it was already installed in the first place. And then we're good. I'll tilt the motor for you. You'll see the clearances that I have here. Here I'm at 35 degrees. Here I'm at 40 degrees, and the resistance to tilt it is starting to increase quite a bit. Now it becomes more difficult to angle this. Okay, now I'm at 45 degrees. Oh, see, the resistance I was feeling must have been this. Yeah, this is the resistance I was feeling. So another thing, because this motor is just loose, the only tension on the belt is the weight of the motor. You can see here. I'm going to decrease the height of the blade, and we'll notice this goes down. Okay, so that's as far as it'll go down. That was another thing I had to take into consideration. When this cover goes on, that's how far this is. Now I'll lift it up to maximum height. I think it's going to go more than that. I just stopped right here. This tension on the belt is now increased. It's tighter now. Okay, so I know it's a 10-inch saw, but I like to use these 7 1/4-inch skill saw blades. First of all, they're cheap. They're only $10 each, depending on the teeth, and even $15. But what I like about it, besides them being low cost, is I like the thin kerf. That really helps eliminate 99% of my dust. So it also helps me because the motor, it's the older motor and all that good stuff. The sucker with this Craftsman saw, it fires up real quick, full power. Now if I had a bigger blade on there, it's slower for it to get maximum speed. Takes an extra second or so. Also, when I'm cutting wood and I'm using the 7 1/4-inch blade, I can really go through the wood like nothing with a thin kerf. Now if I have an 82 10-inch blade that's a little bit thicker, it will bog the motor down. I mean, that's the truth. So for this saw, I think it's a great pound saw for cutting 3/4-inch or 1-inch pieces of wood. You have to still go slow and whatever, but I really like this thin kerf blade on this saw here. I really think it's a necessity personally, even though I could add a larger 10-inch. I like this smaller one. So this is the area that I was thinking if somebody wanted to down here, they could add a dust port and have dust collection, or even down there. So check this out. Here's the drawer. I had to put another handle on the back side, and the reason for that is when I pick this up, I could grab that handle and I could grab the handle on the front, and it's pretty easy to empty it out. So this is a few months worth of dust with this particular saw. It does collect a lot of the big dust, and you can see a lot of the fine dust goes to the back here. Okay, so I know there's not very many people that will find interest in this video, except for the very few selected people that have a saw like this and are interested in closing this in. If you try this, let me know in the comments, or if you want to try this, let me know. I find this stuff interesting and fascinating personally. I like it. So if you do this yourself, shoot out my YouTube channel, give me a little mention there on your channel. And I hope that people do try this, because I think it's cool. You don't have to use this wood that I use. You could use any wood. Plywood, for example, is fine, or birch. Birch is better. It's smoother. I just happen to have some melamine. $30, you could buy melamine full sheet and have at it. All right, well, thanks for watching. See you next time.